Hello and welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Nathan.
I'm Ryan.
I'm really excited for this episode. It's Body Double from 1984, directed by Brian DePalma. I'm
You're so excited,
loving
Nathan.
over here.
Nathan, you are just so excited. You can't even get the words out.
I can't even say Brian DePalma's name correctly. What a legendary director. We've actually covered him on our past show. We did Dress to Kill. It was one of our last episodes on Media Boys Jr., so we're getting a returning director here. I don't know if we asked this question on Dress to Kill, so I'll bring it back up. Experience with Brian DePalma. What are some of your favorite works from him?
I mean, Dress to Kill is one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, it's like it's really up there, like top 20, top 30 for me.
Nice.
And I think he does not get enough credit, in my opinion, because he is definitely, especially after watching this today, he's definitely like a modernized version of Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, and it's it's not like a ripoff kind of Hitchcock. It's like he takes the same ideas of Hitchcock, but completely makes them his own. It's Hitchcockian, but enough to really just feel like the next level above Hitchcock, a modern Hitchcock, as you said.
But yeah, I mean, he's got some great ones in there. I mean, he did the first Mission Impossible, which is pretty good. I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Untouchables is a really good one. Scarface, of course.
Yeah, Scarface, yeah. Carrie?
Yeah, geez. You don't realize how much he has done, really. He's had a really big, long career.
Yeah, he's one of those directors that I think, because he's still alive, if he makes another movie this decade, he's going to be working for, what is that, maybe 5 decades, which not a lot of directors get to that level, which is awesome.
Which he made one, I guess his last one was 2019, so if he makes another one, it'll be up.
Yeah, and that's only, a lot of directors don't get to that level, so no, I mean, good for him. I was going to agree, all those movies you named, awesome. I'm not a big Scarface head, but I understand that it's a great movie. I understand why people like it.
I'll agree with you there. I mean, I do like it. It's a well-made movie, but slightly overrated in my opinion.
That is one of it got its own video game, which like 30 years later, which is wild to me.
I know.
Another good one that I think we should cover on the show later is Sisters. That has a Criterion release. That one is very, very cool. But yeah, Body Double. Speaking of Hitchcock, this, I could tell you which two, like Dress to Kill is like Psycho. This is like Vertigo and Rear Window put together. Our main character, he has claustrophobia. The plot moves along because he kind of becomes a peeping Tom at some point.
Yeah, he definitely, he's the hero, but he definitely becomes like a stalker to this woman at some point.
Well, that's what I like about this character. Is he's a likable character. He is our hero, but he definitely has a weird moral gray area when you look at it. Because he is a protector, because come to find out, someone else is stalking this woman. So his way to protect her is to stalk her and the person that's stalking her. It's this weird like role thing that happens where is what he's doing like in this weird gray area? Is he right? Is he wrong? And I find that very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has zero chill too. Like when he is stalking this woman, it's like she goes to a clothing store to try on different pairs of underwear, which I've never heard of that either. Like, let me just try on this underwear at a store. But anyway, she buys a new pair of underwear, and he's watching her take off and put on new underwear, and the store clerk is like, can we get security? There's a problem over here.
Yeah, and it's like the worst placed mirror in this changing room, because the way it's angled, she's taking off her underwear, and the way you could see it is just right out the window. Like, he's just staring at her.
Right.
And later she throws away this underwear, and he takes it, and he's like, this is mine now.
Right. And well, she's right next to him too when he does that.
Yeah. Talk about, this movie is full of amazing sequences. This scene in particular, the mall scene, oh my God, I love it. This is like just pure, just like filmmaking is all I can say.
And, and besides like the clerk talking on the phone, there's almost no dialogue in there.
No, yeah, it is a very quiet scene and it's a very long scene because he's following her throughout the whole mall. Has that scene where he's looking at her, but there's also the indigenous man that's following them around. That's the guy who's stalking, and it's like this whole weird play. The camera shots are really fast. It's very it's just fast paced. It's very tense. Every time I see the scene, just the way it plays out is perfect.
It really, to me, like if we're going to go back and talk about Dress to Kill, because there is a sequence like this when the Angie Dickinson is at the art museum. It's a scene like that, but it's not nearly as intense. But to me, like in the 4 years between those movies, you could really see how far Brian DePalma has come as a director.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. Yeah, the whole beginning of this movie feels like this scene, and also I think just this comparably does the same thing where there's almost two halves of the movie where one thing happens at the beginning and then it completely changes its like path towards the end. Not quite as much as Dress to Kill, but it's almost segmented in the same way. So I think it's like the same ideas, same feelings as Dress to Kill, but like you said, 4 years honing his craft after making Scarface and everything, really just like making his own deal. Because fun fact, I guess he got a 3-picture deal with Columbia after making Scarface, where he got to do what he wanted to do. And then after the failure of this movie, this was the only movie in that 3-picture deal, unfortunately. Man. Yeah. This movie kind of had a weird like release because it was X-rated. Brian DePalma planned on having like unsimulated sex in it. One of the first movies to do that, but of course the studio said no. He had to cut it down to an R rating, and it just really got botched in the delivery, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the movie's pretty highly regarded now. Wouldn't you say, or it's like a cult classic?
It's a cult classic. I think I'm really happy Body Double, I feel like, has gotten its due. I see a lot more people talk about this one and talk about how great this one is on reevaluation. That's kind of how I got into it, is I was seeing stuff like, oh, this is a great movie, you should see it. And I actually saw that mall scene on YouTube and I was like, oh, holy crap, I do have to see this.
Did you see Body Double first, or did you see Dress to Kill first?
I saw Dress to Kill first.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Dress to Kill, I think, was my first horror De Palma. No, that would be Carrie. Sorry, but Dress to Kill was like one of my first De Palma movies that wasn't like Scarface or The Untouchables. And I mean, Dress to Kill is a great movie. Like, honestly, like, go back to that episode and listen to it because we really gushed about that one. I think both these movies pair very well together. Right,
and getting into, not really spoilers, but there is a reference to Dress to Kill in this movie, where there's a very famous shower scene in Dress to Kill, and they reference that scene.
That's actually what he got the idea for this movie from, the whole body double thing, because he got a body double for the shower scene, and that's supposed to be what got him to make this movie. So that direct influence is there.
One reference, I don't know if you noticed too, was, well, I don't know if it's a reference, but so the main character plays a struggling actor, and he is cast in this horror movie. And did you notice that what the one horror movie was called?
Oh, yeah, Vampire's Kiss, which is the Nicolas Cage movie.
Right, I did that. Yeah. Which we should do that one at some point, too.
I do. I've never seen it. But, yeah, I think that's wild. I guess this predates Vampire's Kiss, but I wonder if they saw Body Double and were like, oh, there's our movie title.
Yeah, this predates it by 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
so.
And the director of that is returning actor from Dress to Kill, Dennis Franz, who does a great job playing a director.
Which I think this is the first time we've had a repeat actor.
I think so.
So, which I'm glad it's Dennis Franz, because he was so good in Dress to Kill, and I wish he was in more of this movie.
I do too. I wish that this movie kind of gets away from the whole acting deal for a good chunk of the movie, so we do miss out on him. unfortunately.
Which supposedly, I mean, they said, so like Keith Gordon said he kind of portrayed his teenage character from Dress to Kill as Brian De Palma. Like he kind of used Brian De Palma's mannerisms. And Dennis Franz, who was the director in the movie, he was like a direct reference to Brian De Palma, like himself.
Interesting. Does Brian De Palma really act like that on set?
I don't know. I mean, okay, so in preparation for this, I did like watch some like interviews like leading up to the movie, like, you know, like when they're doing the promotional tour.
Nice. We probably watched the same stuff actually.
Yeah, and they interviewed the main actor, and they said this woman who was interviewing the main guy was like, "Oh, I have this image of Brian De Palma as being this super intense guy, and he never smiles." She's like, "I've never seen him smile before," and he's like, "Really?" Like,
yeah.
He's like, he's a really warm guy. He's really sweet.
Yeah. Did you watch the Melanie Griffith interview?
I did not.
No. Yeah, that one was really good, and it was whatever her name is, interviewing her, and Melanie Griffith had nothing but really nice things to say about Brian De Palma. Was talking about how great of a person he was, and everything. Because it was weird, that interviewer, I didn't like her. She was like trying to imply that Brian De Palma set her up to do nude scenes in the movie. It was like, "Oh, did you know you were doing this going in?" And Melanie Griffith was like, "Yeah, I knew. They wouldn't trick me."
Yeah. which I mean, she's playing a porn star, and there's multiple scenes of her being naked. So I'm assuming if she glanced at the script, she would know right away.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually really like Melanie Griffith in this movie. I think this performance is great.
All the cast members in this movie do really well. Like even the main woman, or not the main, well, like the Gloria, the one that Jake Scully is stalking at first. She's not in the movie very much, but I think she's really good in what she does.
She has a presence, right? Whenever you see her, she has such a presence, and then you do. It's kind of like voyeuristic. We don't really get to know this character like at all. It's almost, we're looking at it through our main character who doesn't know anything about her other than what he's like stalked her seeing. But there's a scene where they do get to actually meet each other, and I think she does a really great job in that scene. Our main character, played by Craig Wasson, I really like Brian De Palma's pick for him because he's kind of an average Joe. He's not like some really great-looking lead actor. He looks like an average dude. He kind of looks like Bill Maher a little bit. So
yeah, you're right.
I think he does a great job. Sam is his buddy who kind of sets him up because he's an actor who's got kicked out of his house. He's actually getting cheated on by his wife. And Sam Bouchard is the person that sets him up for this house across the street. And basically introduces him to the person across the street who masturbates every night, and he watches it.
Yeah. But going back to what you said about Jake, I really do. I was going to say the same thing where, they kind of have him as like this everyman kind of thing where he's super relatable too. Cause you kind of realize, all the problems he's dealing with is that his girlfriend's cheating on him. He doesn't have anywhere to live. He's really struggling in his job. So I think that's how you kind of makes it kind of forgivable of what kind of a stalker he is. At least in the audience's mind, is that we're relating to this guy and, we're like, okay, he's not in the best situation of his life right now, but maybe, this is what kind of like the most exciting thing going on in his life.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like an escape, kind of like some kind of positivity after all of the awful things that have happened to him. Because it even seems like because he gets fired from his filming job because he has claustrophobia. So even that has ruined his life. I guess to go into it, the movie takes I want to talk about a really great scene. So a person really big spoilers. The person across the street does get murdered, and that sets up the second half of the movie. Come to find out, the dancer or the dance and the masturbation was actually cut directly from a porno. Right? It looks exactly like something from a porno, which Jake Scully ends up on a drunk bender just watching a porn TV channel. I guess they had these in 1984. Yeah, which I love it because then he dives into the adult world. He becomes a porn star. He becomes he's really easy too. He gets hired really fast.
Well, yeah, because I mean, he's like the only that's funny. Like the guy that's the casting director is just like they go through like the line. He's like, "Can you say these lines?" It's like these three like normal lines. He's like, all right, you got the part. Let me take your clothes off so I can see what like.
Yeah, and I think any movies dealing with like I think of Boogie Nights. This is like a little bit post Boogie Nights. Any movies dealing with like that era of porn, it's just really interesting. I guess there's some kind of interest to it. Just diving into that seedy world. But I will say the scene that they show from the porn that he's in, if porn was shot like that, I'd be straight addicted watching it every day. That scene, I love that scene. That's a scene I go back to.
It's shot like a music video.
Yeah, it's shot like a music video. Well, it's even got Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax, and it's just like they dance and everything, and it leads into like this really like kind of graphic sex deal.
But yeah, I mean, this whole movie is very 80s. Like, I mean, just lots of 80s aesthetics everywhere. I mean, the porno that they shoot is like in this like neon disco looking place, and it's like they have where he meets her and they have sex. It's like this hot pink like bathroom with like leopard print all over the place.
And even like the house he's staying in has like a rotating bed and like has like neon lights everywhere. There's something I love about it. It's like that 80s excess. It's mid 80s. It's so 80s. I love it to death.
Yeah, visually this movie is super interesting too. I mean, not just like plot or anything. I mean, it's just the way like all the scenes are filmed and just super interesting sets. It looks great. Yeah,
and just where it goes a lot of places. It's about an hour 50, and I feel like it does a lot in that amount of time. Yeah, and I just like you said, it's just shot very well. It's a lot of like a lot of shots of two people in the shot, and both are in focus. But everything else is out of focus, and I love stuff like that. Brian DePalma went the full 9 yards, and he really was just like, I'm making something really stylish. Because I guess one of his favorite movies is Red Shoes, and I always think about the Red Shoes ballerina scene where that's just style everywhere. It's kind of like this.
Right, and if you think he said there he really likes scenes where it's like this out of this world look, or like they're in another world, and it does feel like that when he goes to that porno set. It feels like they're in another. It feels like he's like in a completely different world altogether.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like this crazy fantasy world of like sex and drugs, and I love that because it comes right in the middle of the movie. Like he gets the job, and then it cuts. You hear the beginning of Relax, Don't Do It, and then it plays like almost the whole song. That scene lasts like a crazy amount of time. I don't know. That scene, I love it. I love the mall scene. I know I'm forgetting a lot of different sequences, but there's just a lot of really cool stuff.
Did you notice in the porno scene, one of the guys there, do you know who Rob Paulson is?
Rob Paulson. The name it rings a bell.
He's a very famous voice actor. He did like Yakko from Animaniacs and all that.
Really?
And, yeah, he did. He's done Raphael from the Ninja Turtles.
Okay,
and all that.
Yeah, I've seen this guy before. Yeah.
He was on the porn. He was one of the stagehands on the porno set. Like
that's awesome.
He wasn't the director. He's like, hey, I thought we were shooting like a porno here, not a love story.
That's him, really?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Wow, yeah. You said we're shooting a porno here, not Gone with the Wind, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first he says, "Where's the cum shot?"
Huh?
Yeah, because their main character Melanie Griffith are just pretty much just making out, grinding on each other. I actually think the main character does Melanie Griffith really dirty because she honestly hates him for a little bit, but he like pretends to be like a porn director, and then like brings her in and is like, "Hey, I'm going to put you in my porno. It's going to be an amazing deal," all just for his own gain because he has questions to ask her. And
I know.
I think he does her so dirty.
I guess they do end up together in the end. I mean,
yeah, what an interesting ending. Because the the bad guy loses, right? And then it kind of, it has an epilogue, and it's almost like a really happy ending, which is something you wouldn't expect. Everything ends up perfectly well for everybody. Melanie Griffith isn't scared of him. I think they end up together.
The movie he got fired from the beginning of the movie, recast him and put him back in the movie.
Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting. But I do love this ending because it's like behind the scenes movie stuff where, he has like his hand on the woman's breast and they have to stop filming so they could get a body double. So, because I guess the main actress wouldn't show her boobs. And so they had like this whole scene where he's holding his hand on the bar and he's like, oh God, can you get over here soon? And I find it interesting.
No, I really like that scene a lot. And so during the climax of the movie when he's fighting the main bad guy, it cuts to a movie set. Is that him? Like, is that kind of like an inner monologue sort of thing, or what is that?
That's the way I always took it. I took it as like an inner monologue, like him getting over his personal fears. I remember the first time I watched it. It's so wild because he gets buried in a open grave and his claustrophobia is kicking in, and he's freaking out. But then the movie cuts to a movie shoot, right? And then it's like, then he has to like tell the director's like, you've got to do this right this time. And then he's confident and he gets over his fear. I think it's all just supposed to be a visual way to show that he got over his fear in a very creative way, right?
Which because this was not the first time I've seen this movie, but this is the second time. And I remember seeing it the first time, I didn't know what it was, but watching it a second time, it really clicked for me, and that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, this is like my fourth time watching it. I think it's a movie that I can rewatch a lot, and a lot of different stuff clicks for me a little better. I think there's a lot of little stuff in here that I don't think I catch every time, and I think it's worthy of a rewatch.
Would you say this is in your top 10?
Yes. Yeah, I would. Dude, I don't know. I don't know if I've expressed enough. I probably have talked too much, but I do love this movie. I think this is the perfect example of what I like out of exploitation. It's just really great thrills. It looks nice. It's got that good sex appeal. It's a really early erotic thriller. It's even got some good violence in it. It's just a really solid, just sleazy flick. And I love it.
Which I think that's a good way to explain it. It's exploitation done really well because
exactly.
So many times you see in other movies it's just like boobs, violence, cursing, action, which, if that's all you want to see, then great, but it's probably not going to make you want to rewatch the movie, or it's not going to stay in your mind for too long. So when you see stuff like this, when it's so well executed, you're like, I really gotta, this movie, I can't stop thinking about it. And so far, this is one of my favorite ones that we've covered so far, too.
Yeah. No, if you can't tell, this is a high recommendation. I definitely recommend you check it out.
Yeah.
It's a great example of what I would love to discover on this show. Something that can meet that sleaziness with just being a great movie as well. And just like you explained, you hit it right on the head. That's perfect.
We have to talk about one scene. There's one scene
I
forgot. We didn't talk about the murder scene.
The murder scene? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Why did we skip the murder scene? Yeah. Okay, so across the street, he's peeping on this girl. And this dude, this giant, like, Native American man comes in with, like, this huge drill. And I think what it is this didn't click me the first time. I was like, why does he have a big drill? Now it's like, oh, he is pretending to be a safe cracker to crack his safe in her bedroom. And
right.
He uses this drill. It's not really the intended murder weapon, but he drills this woman to death. And it's really tense, too.
Oh, it is. It's so gory because first he stabs her in the back with this moving drill, and then she's struggling to get away, and then she falls over on her back. And then as she's laying down, the guy takes this giant drill and stabs her. It goes through her body into the ceiling. So it's just like this leaky ceiling of blood coming out.
And it's great because our main character runs to the house to try to save her, but actually gets blocked off by her dog. And he is on the bottom floor, sees the drill come through, and the blood gets on him as it comes through. And he's just like screaming. And I'm this might be taking it too far, but I think this is really great stuff in exploitation. Whenever you really think about it, is that drill in the scene from behind him when it's like behind him through his ass, and the drill is between his legs. It's a dick, man. It's a dick symbol. He's penetrating her. Great stuff.
Yep, it's definitely reminiscent of other movies like Tetsuo Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the phallic symbols everywhere.
Going back to those interviews too, where we talked about. So you watched the Brian DePalma interview, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How that some of that woman was so insulting to him. I feel like because they're like, she asked him, she's like, "Oh, well, do you think you can direct a movie like Ghostbusters in terms of endearment?" And he's like, "I'm a director. I can direct any script you give me."
I think he handled her so well because he was like, "I'm a director. I can direct anything. You know, like that's my job. I can do it." And like she was like, "If you would see a movie, you don't want to see a horror movie?" And he's like, "No, I don't have to."
He said, he's like, my movies, they're scary, but there's something interesting with them. He's like, I don't go to see movies to get scared. I mean, I don't want to watch a movie where somebody jumps out and says boo, which, that's like a bad horror movie, like what he's referencing, because, kind of like what they have now, where it's just like, oh, well, if we have a bunch of jump scares and it's a scary movie automatically.
Yeah. She does, I know we talked about the Melanie Griffith one, but she does the same thing to her again, because she compliments Melanie Griffith's voice and was like, "Do you think you got hired for your voice?" And then Melanie Griffith was like, "What? Why do you say that?" She's like, "Well, it's just very distinctive." And she's like, "No, I hope I was picked for my acting abilities," And it just like came right back at her. I don't know who this lady is, but she definitely has her favorite kind of movies, because Brian De Palma says he loves Amadeus, and she's like, "Yeah, Amadeus, love Amadeus."
Which Amadeus? I mean, it's a
great movie. That's one of my favorites,
but yeah, it's like, you could very clearly she had like some bias, and she's like, "What did you have to cut to make this not an X-rated movie?" Or like, what? It's like, do you think? She's asked the question, do you think Brian De Palma fans would be upset if you didn't have a murder sequence in there?
What the heck? Yeah, what was that? It was talking about the chain. I'm glad that Brian De Palma handled it so well, because she talked about the chainsaw scene in Scarface, and he was like, that was in the script. I just I didn't come up with that.
He's like, yeah, don't. He's like, I was
blame Oliver Stone.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like I said, that she was interviewing the main star, and she said, "I've never seen Brian De Palma smile before," and
he smiles in the interview.
I was going to say in the interview, because she's asking like, "Would you direct a family film, or would you direct?" He's like, he says, "I can direct Terms of Endearment, Ghost." He's like, "I could direct a Lassie movie if you want me to," and he's like, "Why? Do you have any offers?" And he's like, got a big smile on his face.
Yeah. He actually seemed like a really nice guy in the interview. He seemed really genuine. So I don't know. I don't know where this lady was coming from. She obviously had a body double bias.
Well, she did say to the main star, "I feel like once this movie comes out, it's going to open all kinds of new doors for you." And
he was in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So
yeah he was. Yeah,
that's about
but.
it.
And supposedly, though, this is what landed Melanie Griffith like a bunch of roles afterwards, like Working Girl, I think was one. Yeah, that is what got her this movie got her that role.
And I guess that's another Hitchcock kind of, because she's Tippi Hedren's daughter, so that's a Hitchcock connection. Yeah, I mean, no, and I guess she went somewhere. I think she was really well loved. I think she got not at like the Academy Awards or anything, but I think she was nominated for awards for her performance in this movie.
She got nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Golden Globes.
Golden Globes, yeah. That's good. And good for her, because usually stuff like this does not even get any Golden Globe Academy Award notice.
I know.
Which, unfortunately, this movie didn't do well. But now it's loved, and that's what matters.
Yeah, it's really nice that we live in an age where these movies can be appreciated now. Because, I mean, before it was like, if a movie was terrible, they we're just going to destroy it. You'll never see it again.
Exactly. But yeah, no, that was Body Double, right? You have anything else you want to go over?
I think that was it this time.
No, yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, Ryan, what's coming up next episode?
Well, Nathan, next time, I hope you're ready to eat my dust.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to quit the podcast, whatever, I guess.
No, Nathan. I want you to get in your car. I want you to rev up your engine because we're going to be watching the very famous car movie, maybe famous, Eat My Dust, starring the one and only Ron Howard.
Oh, wonderful. Glad to have our first Ron Howard on the show.
I know how big of a Ron head you are, but
yeah, Hillbilly Elegy, one of the best. So I'm super excited.
But it is 100% free on Tubi, so go check it out if you want to watch it for next time. But yeah, I think we'll like it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And if you have anything you want to recommend, if you want to talk a little bit about the show, send us an email, driveindoubleFeaturepodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, see you next time.
See you next time.